Alright, so if you're playing Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and you've been playing it since launch, then you're probably heading towards the end game as it is right now. And once you do finish the story, there is quite a lot of things that open up, and we're just going to go through a little bit of what you should be looking out for in terms of gear, in terms of weapons, and how really you're going to be able to maximize these really easily and help you in your builds as you rank up your mastery levels and head towards filling out that tier 3 Bane set that you ultimately want to make the most carnage in any of your builds across any of the characters, whether you're Harley Quinn, King Shark, Captain Boomerang or Deadshot. Now, whether you pre-ordered the game and got some of the Notorious gear in terms of the Black Mask's Bulletstorm, the pistol or the sniper rifle or the machine gun, then as you head towards the end game, you're probably going to be getting a few of these to drop from end of activity rewards, and you're probably also going to be looking out on getting some of the mods for your various characters, whether that's from Toyman, LexCorp or from Ivy, and they obviously all come with like set bonuses, so you're going to want to measure them into whatever your favourite build is as such. But one of the main things obviously that you need to look out for is ranking up that mastery level first on the incursion missions that you unlock once you've beaten the final mission. Now these are going to rank up your finite crisis rank, but they're also going to level up your mastery rank as well. So once you complete a set of round of these on each mastery level, then you'll level up and your finite crisis bonus will go up, and basically that will allow you to unlock more gear in terms of the Bane armor sets and all that good stuff that comes with having the set bonuses, whether that's Bane's Rage, Bane's Wrath or Bane's Fury. And obviously there's a ton of weapons that you can build into them, whether that's leaning in across the tiers to go with the Venom and the Frenzy style builds, which are quite popular with these sets. But also you've got a ton of Notorious items as well. Like we said, if you've pre-ordered, you've probably got Black Mask Bulletstorm and all that good stuff in terms of them items. But there's some other items like Bizarro's Undeath Ray and the Still Force Conduit absolutely doing bits in a ton of builds, and if you've managed to pick any of them up and you've managed to get some decent rolls on them, then you probably do notice a difference in how good them ones are. So obviously that's the Notorious items and the Infamous items. In terms of what differentiates between them, I can't really say that one set is better than the other in terms of whether you're going for Infamous or Notorious. To me, depending on what playstyle you're leaning into afflictions wise or anything like that, then each to their own, and all of these are really going to hold their own in a ton of setups for a ton of playstyles, to be honest. But in terms of them, obviously once you level up your mastery rank, this is one of the main things that's going to help you get a ton of loot basically, and it's going to lead on to the next bit that we're working into with this video. And once you level up your mastery level, you start to get more rewards at the end of each of the incursion missions, and you can basically get up to 8 rewards per activity completion when you're doing these incursion missions, and basically that caps out at level 50. So as you increase, you're going to be getting 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drops ultimately if you grind it out and max out your mastery level ranks. And that all ties back, like I say, into unlocking some of the end game gear. Now, I know that the Building Thunder auto rifle on the tier 3 Infamy set is probably one of the favourites at the minute, just for its ease of use factor, its spray and play playstyle that it offers, and obviously it ties in nicely with that Bane set bonus for that tier 3, which is just going to increase the damage on crazed enemies from the obviously Venom attacks, which you can do through the weapons or through any of your abilities or grenades. And basically that's the sort of stuff you want to be grinding for. But there's one thing that you need to be looking out for. Obviously just getting that gear is just a good bonus. Like I've got the Death Rattle SMG, which pretty much fits nicely into my Harley Quinn build, which I'm pretty much maining at the minute. Obviously we've got going for the Venom setup in terms of the set bonus that Bane's Rage offers, and it just really synergizes nicely. But I think the main thing that a lot of people are missing, and it may be something that you've picked up on during your playthrough, is the fact that you can get master level weapons. Now, as far as I can see and from what I've seen, is that the master prefix on weapons generally comes on either legendary, notorious or infamous gear. Now, it doesn't matter whether that's a weapon or a grenade or any of your mods or your lucky charm. It's a rare drop basically that you can only get as an end of activity reward, and these drop whether they're in the incursion missions in the end game as you're ranking up your mastery level in your finite crisis rank, or they can drop from various missions within the open world that you can go through as well. Now, obviously that's a super rare drop, and as far as I know and as far as I can tell as well, you cannot actually craft one of the master style weapons at Penguin in the Hall of Justice. Now, that's obviously for a reason, because if you just look at the difference between the master level gear and the non-master level gear, we've got a Master's Black Masks Bulletstorm, and then we've also got a bog standard basic Black Masks Bulletstorm. And as you can see, the main difference is just the damage output. Basically per hit you're going to be doing up to 2000 damage per hit, with a DPS that's literally 600 more than the base version. And apart from that, there's not a massive amount of difference, but as you're edging towards the end game, you're definitely going to be wanting to use the master level gear over the basic notorious gear. Now, obviously this means that you need to obviously get a bit of RNG on your side and look out with the drops that you want, but that's basically what I think you should be doing obviously in the incursion missions, and that's why the grind is there, looking for that master level gear. Now, obviously, like I said, you can craft obviously the basic level gear, whether that's legendary, notorious or even infamous gear, and obviously apply them to various members of your team, and that's all well and good, but obviously that's going to be that base level of damage output. Now, with the master stuff, obviously like I say, you can't craft it, you can't make one up, so once you've got one, that is the one that you've got. Now, fortunately, with the end game of Suicide Squad, there's a neat little system that you can basically take advantage of to maximize not just the viability of this weapon, but how it actually leans into whichever build that you're favouring at the minute. Now, obviously I know that the crazed builds are obviously all the rage with the Bane armor sets, and obviously there's a fire-based build which is doing the rounds, mainly because of the bug damage output that it offers at crazy high mastery rank levels and just literally obliterates everything. But what you want to be looking out for is obviously getting a master style weapon, but then don't worry too much about what augments you've got. Obviously on pretty much most of the weapons, especially epic and above, you can get up to 3 augments. Obviously you can get and this is basically on any weapon, you can get obviously 2 to 3 augments. You would have seen this obviously through your playthrough of the game so far. And a lot of these, they're all random chance. They obviously increase the critical hits on enemies, add afflictions to enemies, can offer you XP from killing enemies. There's tons of bonuses that they offer, and some of them obviously lean into the set bonuses or even the basic trait of the weapon. Now, obviously with this Black Mass Bulletstorm, probably going to be leaning into crazed builds in terms of Harley Quinn, and on this one specifically, obviously we've got the 3 augments. Now, if I wanted to change any of the augments on that weapon, or for example if I only had 2 augments, I could take that weapon to Penguin and essentially overhaul the weapon. Now, to overhaul weapons, you need to have done Penguin's support squad missions in the open world, and that will open up the option to overhaul the weapon. Now, you can literally overhaul anything in the game, obviously firearms, melee weapons, shield mods, grenades, you name it, all of that stuff can be overhauled, and this is basically what you're going to want to come and do with any of your stuff. If it only has 2 augments, you want to try and overhaul it, and essentially it's just going to re-roll that weapon to become a free augmented weapon. And it doesn't matter how many times you do it, because basically you have an unlimited amount of chances to reroll the weapon, and obviously there's just going to be a small cost in terms of doing that. Obviously it depends on the tier of the weapon. There's going to be a cost. If you're going to be looking at getting a rare weapon, then obviously it's going to cost you less materials. As you move up to legendary, notorious, and even infamous gear, then that is going to obviously increase in cost, and that is going to allow you to open up that weapon specifically to get free augments. Now you can obviously re-roll it to get the augments that you want. Again, totally your choice. If you're grinding for XP, then obviously you want to look for weapons that have got XP. If you're looking at trying to lean something into damage boosts or applying afflictions, or just leaning in with your build in general, then look out for them and just re-roll until you basically run out of materials or until you get the roll that you want. It does save a little bit of the grind, but obviously you need to get that weapon first, and specifically for that master weapon, you want to get that master weapon that you want and then re-roll it. So as you can see, I've re-rolled this Death Rattle, which is from the Bane's Rage set, and it's given me an increase in terms of what I can do with that weapon. Obviously, I've got 3 augments, and I'm getting a damage boost to any enemy which is afflicted by any affliction. We're also getting a boost to the ammo reserve capacity and a critical hit chance, which is a pretty decent roll for obviously an SMG. Now, if I wanted to, for example, re-roll a certain perk and I was happy with pretty much 2 of my 3 perks there, then I could take that weapon and we can take it over to Toyman. Now where Toyman comes into it is that obviously you can modify a specific perk on that weapon, and this basically just limits you to re-rolling that augment on that weapon specifically. So let's go down to this one for example, and I can basically re-roll one of these augments on this weapon. Now, I can only do this on one augment, so if I've looked out and I've got one that I already want, then basically I can just pick this top slot and it's going to modify that weapon, and then it's going to give me a selection of augments for me to choose from. So obviously it's going to tell me what I've already got, and I can choose whatever I want basically in terms of that weapon. I can pick that one, and now that is one that I can modify. Now obviously the other one is locked out, I can't modify that one, and basically if I just want to keep modifying this weapon, I can do it till my heart's content until I run out of materials to do that. Now there's a step further than that, and this is one that I think that you want to be doing with your master level gear, and that is called eliting a weapon. Now the elite option again is another one that becomes available once you finish the Toyman support squad missions, and basically it's an option to use on your end game gear, specifically if you've got a god roll that you want, and it's basically the god roll of the god roll at this point. Now you can only elite a piece of gear or a weapon once, but once you have elited a weapon, you can basically go back to the modify section, and as you can see, none of my other slots are locked out. I can basically modify this weapon, or for the example, this grenade, until my heart's content. If, for example, a build changes later down the line, something else becomes stronger from various updates or whatever by the dev team, then I can come back to Toyman. Because this grenade is elited, I can come into the modify section and basically re-roll what I want. Obviously you're still going down to a bit of RNG in terms of the perks that it's going to give you to choose from, but honestly in terms of time taken, obviously you're going to need a little bit of materials and currency to do that, but realistically you're probably going to get the roll that you want on an augment a lot quicker than it's going to take you to drop another master golden goose. Now this is why I recommend doing this little method with your master level weapons. If you haven't done this already, then it's a good little bit of a tip that I think a lot of people may be sleeping on as they're grinding towards the end game, and it's basically just god roll of a god roll, like we say. If you haven't been eliting weapons and eliting any of your master gear, then you need to come get yourself to Toyman and get grinding and add some serious customization to your builds going forwards, and basically longevity as well, because like I say, you could just change them on the fly just to match into whatever affliction you're using at the time, whether it's craze, whether it's freeze, whether it's the electricity one, which isn't really doing anything at the minute. But obviously as the game changes, you can come in and modify your gear, and that's it basically. Grind out for the master drops in any of the activities, take them to Penguin just to get that extra augment slot, and then bring yourself up to Toyman, elite it, and then obviously, you can basically modify it until the cows come home at that point. So just something that I wanted to point out. Obviously a little bit of a long-winded breakdown in terms of what to do and how to do it, but I just wanted to give basically just an example of the sort of stuff that you can get going with your builds in the game. And what you want to be looking out for. I mean, obviously you don't have to specifically wait for that master level drop, but like we explained, just the damage boost that them level of weapons offer just surpasses the basic gear. And if you get a full set of master gear and you come over and elite it and then modify it, you've got builds which are set just, for any sort of situation in any of the future content updates, and will definitely take you a long way into the mastery level ranks that are on offer. So just let me know what you've been enjoying, what are your favourite master weapon drops or gear that you've managed to get at the minute, and if you haven't checked out any of my other Suicide Squad content, then please do. We've got a lot more coming up. Thank you very much.